Good evening. Mark Verheer here with a bit of a waffle, and I've been tidying up stuff in my study, and noticed that it actually has been quite a while since I last uploaded a video. I think one of the last videos I uploaded was a video of me playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I actually have been playing quite a few action-adventure games. I started out with Control, probably at the beginning of this year, and then moved up to Horizon Zero Dawn. Elise was playing through it for the second time on the PlayStation 4 Pro. And the first time that she played through it was like a couple of years ago, actually. I think the game came out in 2017 or something like that. It must have been 2017 or 18 or something like that she played it. And I found it quite an interesting game, but for some reason I was always baffled by the inventory system, the battle system, and that kind of stuff. You know, I really would be put off by a lot of these games, possibly because I had the attention span of a gnat. But since that actually has improved a bit, I managed to actually play through quite a fair few action-adventure games. Control, Horizon Zero Dawn, and recently I've started to play Rise of the Tombraider. I actually started to play that on the Xbox One or something like that way back, and it was one of the first games that I tried, and I remember Lara being caught in some sort of water stream endless loop thing, and I tried it again, and then it just didn't want to work, so I just gave up on that. And still, I mean, Rise of the Tomb Raider, it's a game that's been out for quite some time, and I believe when they developed it, it was for on PC, it was for DirectX 11, and now you can actually play it with DirectX 12. But it doesn't seem to be a very optimized game, so but still, it's a cool game, and I've been playing through these games, and been working quite extensively, back to full work hours. Decided to work a few hours less because, well, it's never enough in my line of work. What else have I been doing? I've been trying to upgrade my gaming PC and the video editing PC in the game room. I've put M2 SSDs in there, and use the SATA SSD as scratch video editing drives, which is actually quite cool. Makes them very snappy. Oh, what I also did is that I got rid of the all-in-one liquid cooler things. For some reason, watching all these YouTubers, all these tech YouTubers, you know, like a couple of years ago, they all were very enthusiastic about these all-in-one liquid coolers and water coolers, and you know, I'm not one of these folk that dares to put water in his PC willingly, and let's say my DIY skills, plumbing wise, well, I mean, I've been known to actually put together quite a decent draining system for the shower in our old home, but yeah, to have those same skills applied on the plumbing of a water-cooled PC, no, that's not something that I consider myself actually good at, or how do you say that, Thrustworthy or something like that. So all-in-one liquid coolers. There's actually still one left in the PC in my study, and the rest is all air cooled again. And I'm using Noctua coolers. The last Noctua cooler I installed was an NH-U12S, which is one of these, how do you say, the vertical cooling rib things, and you can have 1 or 2 fans attached to it. The thing is that with these coolers, these Noctua coolers, that they can interfere with the RAM and stuff, so whatever. So I fitted that. I actually replaced a power supply in one of my PCs. And then I stumbled on one of the old Dell systems that we got from Elise, and actually Elise's work. And they actually turned out to be a fair bit more modern than both of our Dell systems. But we actually love our Dell systems. I'll show them. I bought this one in 2012, and I bought this one in 2012. We bought those like 4 months apart or something like that. The blue one is Elise's and the red one is mine. I call mine the Little Red Dell, and it's been my main system, my work system for, well, ever since 2012. So that's like 9 years. That's weird. It didn't start out at the current configuration. I think it had an i5 or an i3 and Elise's as well, and it came with Windows 7. Before that, we were running a Pentium 4 or a Core 2 or something like that, also from Elise's work. And that my Pentium 4 was like a system that I built myself, a gaming rig. And I got mine with a graphics card. The only one that was available back then, that was a GT 840 or something like that, or 480. A really weak graphics card with only half a meg or a gig of RAM. Really weak. I think current Intel GPUs, built-in GPUs, are actually of similar performance. But yeah, I've upgraded my CPU over the years. Lately, I've been running an i7 2600 in it. That worked great, for cores, 8 threads. And actually, a lot of the newer systems, I mean, that is actually a second generation Intel CPU. But Intel really, for a long time, really didn't make the processors that much faster. I mean, it goes to show that I've been working with my system, and actually I'm recording this video and editing this video on this very system for over 9 years. They aged gracefully, and I noticed that in the Dell system, the crap Dell system that I had was a 3rd generation Intel i5, which was of a higher spec than the CPU that was in Elise's build. And I started to research online and stuff, and then I noticed that both of our systems actually are capable of running 2nd generation, but also 3rd generation Intel i3, i5 processors. Now, the Dell website doesn't mention compatibility with i7 processors, but they actually are, provided you update to a recent BIOS, which I did. So my system ended up with an i7 3770, and Elise ended up with an i7 2600, actually my old 2600, with an i7 3770 coming in a couple of days, very cheap. I found a seller in Germany and a seller in France that were selling them for very little money. Postage was about the same, but they also do fetch a hefty price also. I bought these processors quite a fair bit ago, but actually today I replaced them. I also used a thermal pad instead of thermal grease, and yeah, I mean they were in there very fast. And I'll show you the system info of my machine, which is this one, and I'll take away the red and the blue del. So this is actually my system. Is it? Yeah, it is. So I'm using sysinfo or something like that, or hardware info. So you have you'll see the spec. The good thing about changing over to this newer processor is not that it is actually that much faster on paper, but it actually is. Clock speeds are very similar, but the memory is actually running quite a fair bit faster. It used to be 1300 megahertz on my system, but with the new processor, the same memory is actually capable of running at 1600 megahertz, and it actually makes a huge difference when playing games or using OBS or even video editing. So yeah, quite interesting actually. Over the years I've actually replaced well, let me see. I've replaced the power supply, and I'll show you Elise's because this is actually Elise's. So the i7 2600 I mean, it uses the exact same graphics card, and it's a lot faster than the i5 23 something that was in there. I believe the base clock was about as high as the boost clock of the CPU that she had in her system. So yeah, but the thing is that there's a different chipset. My chipset is a bit more advanced. Elise's machine, I thought we had identical machines, but Elise is actually Inspiron 620 and mine is the 660. So my system is capable of a bit more things. PCI Express, that actually is something that is different. So the graphics card, the speed that the graphics card can be operated at, actually differs between a third gen and a second gen i7. I've learned. There's actually a 3770 coming to release a system soon. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but we just love these cases. They're just not very typical cases. I mean, I love the iMac Snow that I still have, and these aren't the beige box, typical clone systems. No, they're actually quite interesting. Bold red, bold blue, very nice systems. I quite like the Dell Inspiron systems. The power supplies are weak though. I mean, the motherboard that is in there is actually quite standard. There's no proprietary connectors, which is a good thing because the other Dell that we have from Elise's work, they have these. They are the Optiplexes, and they have all proprietary connectors. So if you want to transplant one of these low-profile ATX motherboard in a normal case, you wouldn't be able to, because you really need to transcode or change over the headers. The power connector, the front panel connect. Everything is different. So there's documentation, of course, so it's possible. But yeah, the Dell Inspiron that we both have, they use motherboards with regular industry standard connectors. So when I upgraded my system to a different processor, I actually upgraded the power supply as well with an ATX power supply from Be Quiet. The only thing is that the intake fan of the power supply is actually also the one of the outtake fans of the system, so the hot air of the system actually goes through the power supply and is expelled. Not a really big deal because, you know, it's not like the PC is melting, but the power supply doesn't get ambient temperature as an intake, but it seems to do fine. It's not a big deal. At least the system still uses the old power supply. But I found out that the low profile graphics card that we've been using in it, the GTX 1050, actually manages fine with these with the old power supplies. Actually, there was no need for me to change over the power supply. I think I did because I had coiled wine or something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, it could be. This really isn't a very interesting waffle, I guess. You know, it's just a computer tech waffle. So that's basically what I've been doing. Oh, yeah, what I also did get, but I may have showed it before, is actually this. It's a Lego set from a bonsai tree, and I actually wanted to, it's also possible to have it in bloom. It's a cherry tree. 878 pieces. I still need to buy it. I still need to build it. I was planning on having it built before the cherry trees were in bloom. They actually are in bloom, or almost out of bloom, or have already been out of bloom. How do you say that? So yeah, late to the party. But yeah, I really want to set it up somewhere nice. But I do need to get rid of a ton of extra crap. You know, I mass a ton of crap. I always have these little, we call it frutsels in Dutch. You know, like you know, I have like this. It's I believe it's a battery or something like that. But yeah, emoticon shit. Something like this, you know, like, oh, it's a lava, kind of lava light, klein blauwe elefant. If you know German television or Dutch television, you'll probably remember this. This is a little night light. Elise has the little mouse from die Sendung mit der Maus. Yeah, so a ton of crap, all distributed throughout, which actually can make a room have quite a messy appearance. So, as this is the start of my holiday, I'm actually very much contemplating on getting rid of a lot of these extra knickknacks, that's what you call them, in order to have just, you know, a visually a less cluttered appearance. So do a Marie Kondo again, which is always very good for the soul. Yeah, I'll be playing some more video games. Probably Shadow of the Tombraider is going to be next. I'm really hoping that there will be a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, because I really loved the story. Yeah, talking about these video games, there's been quite a few video games that really have made me think of video games as a form of storytelling, part of our cultural heritage. And for example, Horizon Zero Dawn, while a lot of people criticize, you know, the way the character models are animated and stuff, it really is a very nice and strong pro-woman kind of story that's really emotionally evoking. I mean, when a game actually is capable of evoking strong emotions like that, you really feel for for the characters on screen, then I think it's an excellent game. And yeah, these games shouldn't be, how do you say that, thrown away because commercial gain isn't a thing anymore. So there's a ton of these great adventure games, great games that contain a great story, a great experience, that holds up over time quite well, that really makes me think of video games as a part of culture, not like a throwaway kind of experience, like disposable paperbacks, or it really is something more. And I'm really curious how this will evolve. I mean, we're all getting primed and pruned to just accept the fact that we don't own our stories anymore, or access to our stories anymore. It's all temporary. It's all rented. It's all, and I've sort of let go of wanting physical media of my games, but lately, actually these old desires of wanting physical media have been amplified again, due to all these stories about systems that have CMOS batteries, and when these CMOS batteries go out, the systems will just lose access to the bought, digitally DRM'd games that are on the hard drive, and sometimes logging to a server is needed. But basically, it just shows you that access to your digital content will be removed once the servers are gone, or once your hardware has run out. And I've experienced that on my PlayStation Vita. I have a PlayStation Vita and also a PlayStation TV. Now, I've learned the hard way that it is not a desirable thing to do by sticking in a 64 gigabyte, very expensive Vita memory card into the Vita TV, and then stick it back into the PlayStation Vita, because then the system will get corrupted and your card cannot be formatted by said systems, neither the PlayStation TV nor the PS Vita nor any other card reader, because proprietary card readers and stuff. So that kind of stuff. What I also discovered is that if you have a PlayStation Vita and a PlayStation TV, like Sony intended people to have, actually, when you are out of the country and you have your PlayStation Vita and you want to play things like Geometry Wars or something else, then you get hit by the fact that you can't run your games, because somehow the system needs to be online. It needs to dial into the time to somehow check if you have access to the game, if the game is properly licensed and stuff, so you don't, I'm not sure, or it needs to dial home. So I was in Spain, I had no internet, and I thought, let's play my Vita. I couldn't. what I could play actually was my Android handheld with a lot of ROMs on it and emulators, but not my Vita, unless I used my phone to actually temporarily. And you know, that kind of stuff really made me think about digital I mean, digital downloads on the PC through Steam, you know, I'm not that worried about, because Steam has been around for a long time, but I still consider these games as throwaway media. Steam needs you to log in. What happens if you can't log into your Steam account? What happens if your Steam account gets hacked or something? You lose access to your games. GOG is a very good alternative. It doesn't have as much as a broad of a range of games available to it, but that's it, you know. I mean, accounts are constantly hacked, and if you have a lot of content, a lot of PlayStation, a lot of Xbox games on that account, once it's hacked, you actually can lose a huge amount of content, games and whatever. And I'm not sure if it's possible to actually restore those games if you've lost access to your account, or if your account was hacked or something. So yeah, that's actually quite a thing, you know. I mean, at least your physical media is in your house, unless, well, Tony Cruz is a good example. He has experienced a very nasty thing way back when a lot of his older games were stolen. I believe it was in the Nintendo 64, PlayStation days, but still, you know, it's that can happen as well. So yeah, I think everything is temporary, you know. Just perhaps it's good to be hedonistic and live in the moment and just experience what you want to experience, and not count on it being there years down the road, down the line. But I would want that to be the case. That's why I'm a retro gamer. But yeah, I'm all over the place. I think this may actually be a very boring video about me waffling on about you know, building computer specs and stuff. I think to people that are actually quite familiar with building PCs, building systems, that actually might be interesting. For others, it might not be. But what is interesting is the fact that my red Dell over there with the GTX 1050 has turned into quite a capable gaming machine, even more capable than it was, due to the combination of the 3770 i7 and the GTX 1050. And I played some Sega Rally, and I also played some Grid, which aren't the most recent games, but I was very surprised by the fact that I could run Sega Rally totally maxed out, full HD, and could capture it with the built-in driver software of my NVIDIA graphics card, which isn't, you know, a high-end graphics card by any means. And then I played some Grid, which actually was running at the 2K. It's like I've an ultra wide Samsung TV, which is a 49-inch ultra wide. It's a 1080p panel. So it basically is like half a 4K TV, sawn in half, you know, like and basically to fill the screen at the native resolution, you need to actually output games at, you know, 2K pixels. And I didn't think that the 1050 was capable of it, at least not paired with the i7 2600 that was in there. But with the i7 3770, it just does it. So after this clip, I'll paste in the Sega Rally footage and also the Grid and I believe both may actually be replays of my race, but well, at least you have something to watch that is gaming related on this gaming channel. Anyways, what else have I been doing? Yeah, I've also been sorting out my Pentium 3 retro system, and I noticed that I actually have a whole set of Pentium 3 processors, like Celerons, and a lot of them are actually a lot faster than the Pentium 3 that is in there. I believe the Pentium that is in there is like a 350 or 450 or 500, not sure. But it's like this slot 1 thing. It's also a slot 1 motherboard, and all the Pentiums that I have are actually for the socket. And I've sourced for only a couple of euros. I've sourced a little adapter board with a socket on it and jumpers that allows me to actually even use my Celeron 1200 Pentium 3, 1200 megahertz Pentium 3 in that system. So I may actually try to, check out how that works, if that actually works, and if that's good, and what kind of cooling solution I need to be using. But it's like this Voodoo 3, Pentium 3, Windows 98, Windows XP system. That really is a very nice system, and I've managed to emulate that quite well, or something actually quite similar with the PCM emulator. I've made some videos prior to this. That's also been taking up some of my time, and it's really interesting to see how far PC emulation actually has become, because playing these old PC games is also quite nice, and also quite retro these days. So anyways, I think for now this probably is enough. It's Saturday evening, 7 minutes to 10. I'm just gonna cut this and edit this and upload this to YouTube, and probably call it lengthy. Yeah, it's rather lengthy. It's like half an hour. Rather lengthy, substandard, kind of boring Saturday Evening Waffle. And let's see what kind of views it'll get. Okay, Mark signing off. I'll be back with perhaps a little more interesting video. If you did find the video interesting, please comment down below. And before turning off this video, I'll put on some gameplay. Ta-ta! Enjoy the gameplay. Right. Nope. Oh, I'm using the wrong controller. Nope. So let's see how 1920 by 1080 actually works with the new processor on my little red Dell. GTX 1050, 2 gigabytes. It's really snappy. Yeah, I need to play it like this. I'm actually capturing this at the same time. I'm using an old Xbox 360 controller, a white one, which I actually got with my 360 back in the day. Really not sure if the audio is picked up properly. The GTX 1050 actually manages 120 Hz refresh rate because my monitor actually supports it, and that really makes a difference when it comes to response times. And I must say, this really plays quite a fair bit snappier than with the i7 2600, which is nice. So I'm actually playing this at shader level 3 and just the highest settings possible with this game. 1080p. Capturing and playing this at the same time. I'm really liking this. There are some white dots appearing in the background. That's actually something that this graphics card does. Sometimes it just has little dots. I'm not sure if you can actually see the capture. It might not. Oh, and anti-aliasing 2 times. So it's really looking very nicely. Quite like this racer. I'll just race the first race and I'll have the replay going so you can actually see what was going on. Sega Rally really has evolved over time. I quite like this one. And the live arcade versions on the Xbox and the PlayStation. Very nice arcade racers with a heck of a lot better control than the previous versions. I guess Sega Rally really became a very nice game for me on the Dreamcast, that version. And the earlier versions were just not my cup of tea. I mean, people love the Saturn version or the PlayStation version. There's even a version out for a remake for the PlayStation 2. These 2400 retro releases. Okay, so I came in first. 10 points. Let's do the replay. I'm really curious how the capture turns out. It really has very high frame rate, but then again, this is an old game. I'm really liking it. Reminds me a bit of Gran Turismo, the arcade version then. Gran Turismo 3 plays very similar in arcade mode. Very nice. Yep. I'm liking this. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording and I'll just upload this to Facebook or something like that.